My wife is 27 and I am 33. We dated for a year before getting married 6 months ago. We went on a few dates after meeting online, developed a committed relationship, and were married shortly after. When a pretty gorgeous girl shows interest in me, tells me she loves me, etc., I become excited. I was so happy I couldn't see. Up until then, I would have done anything for her, and she knew it. I work a lot because I own a small business, so I travel a lot for work. I was never home during the week. I was making $150,000 a year before taxes, and she didn't work. Thus, she was 100% reliant on me for her survival. She's a bit lazy, but I figured that was because I kind of allowed her to. She also never really liked to cook, clean, or take care of the house. Therefore, I didn't think it strange that not much of it was finished. My wife revealed her pregnancy to me 6 months into our marriage. I had to stop everything I was doing since I was out of town and needed to get home. The day after, I brought her to a clinic. They confirmed that she was 2 months pregnant. A week later, I came home from the office just to grab something I needed for a job I was heading to. My wife's car was in the garage, so I knew she was home. When I opened the door, I heard noises coming from the bedroom, so I followed the noise as it gets louder and louder. Before I arrived at the bedroom, I already had an idea of what was going on. They made it easy for me by leaving the door open. I walked in, and there she was, riding another guy. The next thing that came out of her mouth was that, "It's not what it looks like." Mind you, she was 2 months pregnant at the time. Words couldn't explain how I felt watching her ride another guy in my own bedroom. I had been getting my mind ready to become a dad. I have built my world around her, doing everything to make her comfortable. And there she was, sleeping with another man in my bedroom. Now I know what she's all about. They both looked at me as I looked at them in shock. I turned around and walked away from the room as she jumped off his horse to tell me that I didn't see what I just saw, like I was some stupid dimwit. I composed myself and went ahead and grabbed what I needed. Before I left, I turned around and told her that she should be gone when I got back. I was a mess as I drove back to work. My mind was somewhere else, and I was lucky that I didn't have an accident. I thought about all the time that she said she loved me, and how it was all lies. I honestly didn't have a clue, but then again, my job and not being around did help her do what she did during the week. I felt like she played the role well, and I never suspected a thing. She would have me support her through her pregnancy, and then raise another man's child. My wife was blowing up my phone and leaving voice messages, but I didn't answer. When I arrived at the office, I called a friend of mine who waited about 2 hours and then went to my place. My friend told me that she had left taking essentials with her. After that, I went to Home Depot and replaced all of the house's locks. She was staying with her family, I discovered. I then gave my attorney a call and delivered her divorce decree. But the most crucial advice Dad gave me was to keep my mouth shut. Never answer calls from her friends or family, and to be courteous if I heard from friends we have in common. But if the conversation moved to anything related to the divorce, simply have no comment, and to let him speak for me. Because had I reacted to her family and etc., that could be used against me. I could have really upped the ante, though. Had I not listened to him for sure, but he wasn't about to let me stick my foot in my mouth, thankfully. He was right for sure on that. Not that I really wanted to start anything, but they could have started something with me and then blame me as well. We coordinated for a text message when she would like to come to pick up her things. So the following weekend, my friend stood in for me while she removed the rest of her stuff. She hit back at me by hiring a divorce lawyer and requesting $2,000 in alimony a month for 5 years. She claimed that the pregnancy was mine and she needs money to support herself and for me to keep her on my health insurance. Insane. I could have easily really gotten pissed when she put the alimony demands in her reply. It's probably good it went to my attorney first and then he told me. Because he told me in the manner of she may think she's going to get this, but it's not going to happen. I didn't have a problem with sharing things I acquired during our marriage, because I just want her the heck out. But I wasn't going to reward her monthly for 5 years for her bad behavior and continue to pay her health insurance and raise a child that obviously isn't mine. Heck no, she can find all the guys she screwed to let them support her. When I spoke to my attorney about how to get around the alimony and all the extra stuff because I wasn't looking forward to doing that, he was concerned that she didn't work. Before taxes, my annual income was $150K. She was therefore almost entirely dependent on me for her existence. We maneuvered, of course, to get it completely struck, and that is what happened. But he was worried that if we weren't able to strike it and drastically lower it as a result of what she did, it wouldn't really be documented or likely be statistically verifiable. But basically, he told me that most of the courts favor the women. He fears that her attorney would paint me as an enabler and that it was my fault she cheated. I was never there during the week. Never mind that we were together for almost a year prior, and it's not like the job was new. I have been at it for over 3 years at that point. The only difference may have been that maybe I work an hour less or so during then, but it was still 60 hours a week usually. It's 60 to 80 now, 6+ years later. So if I had not caught her, she would be more enabled now, supposedly. That's why he went in strong. It turned out to probably be overkill. But I have to be honest, I am a computer geek, so I have to go with what he told me. He was the one with experience in it. And obviously, he wasn't the one with 100% win record as well, so he knew what was up. My attorney was looking for evidence of infidelity to help my case in the divorce, so he recommended that I hire a PI to gather some more evidence we could use in court to help my case. My attorney hired him on my behalf, though I paid him directly, $6.2K. To say that he did his job well was an understatement. He dealt quite well, so well that I hoped that I would never have him against me in such a situation. I would also mention that he did check up on me too. Not like he did her, but just to make sure for the attorney's sake that I wasn't hiding an affair or similar either. Basically, had we divorced and I couldn't prove that she was the one that caused it, I would have been supporting her for a few years. Usually it's around 5, but depending on the situation. It can't be till she remarries. Though nowadays, that's pretty rare, I guess. Don't have a job like mine. Not even a few days after hiring the PI, he captured her hanging with the same guy I caught her in bed with. I should have canceled my credit card, which she might have accessed. That night, she went out and ran them all up with her lover, roughly 5,000. These weren't really high-limits cards. They were only there to raise my credit score before. I had also been living off of cash for a considerable amount of time because I was now earning a solid living. That is probably why I forgot. A month later, she called me. The PI discovered that she had been cheating through the entire marriage, and prior, the private investigator was able to find 2 guys she had been with but dumped. They agreed to sign affidavits with the attorney. Additionally, the investigator took a crap load of pictures as well. From the testimonies from the affair partners, we found out that my 60 to 80 work week played right into her plans. She didn't screw around on the weekends, and the boyfriend she had knew it. It was well planned out by her. When the private investigator talked to the 2 that she had ticked off enough to write affidavits, they were pretty open about that. You didn't call her or text her unless she did first, etc. The PI is what saved me. He was able to locate prior people she had dated, and 2 of them were mad enough to sign sworn statements stating that she cheated on me and knowingly doing things to prevent me from knowing. I think alimony in some situations works. Like in a relationship where the man or woman makes significantly more money than the other, or the one spouse doesn't work, and they are married for 10+ years. The spouse not working or not making much would be a disadvantage in the job market. Because of large breaks in unemployment, most employers will look at that and hire someone more recently employed. In that case, I would understand supporting income for, say, half the duration of the marriage term. But in my case, she's the one who cheated. I didn't see it. I wasn't going to reward her for her deception and behavior that ended it. The PI took pictures of her out with a lot of guys, mostly proving her behavior. They were not really needed, but part of the process is tracing back by talking to some of them and getting 2 of them who felt jilted by her because she dumped them were the ones that influenced the judge's decision. They not only stated that they were with her, during the time we were married, and Juan was seeing her prior to our wedding also, by the way. But they also stated that she was deceiving me not to call during weekends when I was home, never coming to the house, don't call me till I call you. Roughly a month after I kicked her out, the PI discovered during his investigation that she went to a club and gangbanged about 10 guys in the back room. She must have been 3 months pregnant back then. I basically had no contact with her from the moment I caught her till our court date. I did have calls from her family. Harassing calls, I might add. And my ex-father-in-law called about a month after it was finalized. And she lost, accusing me of ruining his daughter's life. I gave him a chance to vent before offering to have the lawyer email him a copy of the information the PI gathered. She represented me as her, of course. She caught me in bed with one of her female friends when I was the one dozing off. Thus, he consented. After my lawyer forwarded the information, which included the males' names that had been withdrawn and similar details, he contacted me back around 2 weeks later to apologize for yelling at me. After that, her family no longer communicated with me. But basically, the private investigator was the one who found out everything. He did the research, and the attorney was the one who got it all legally formatted and ready for the hearing. At least according to my attorney at the time, the court always favors the females, especially in situations with children, which I kind of get, so I was lucky I dodged the bullet. But his statement to me was that we're going to have to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that she was the cause of this divorce to get the amount reduced. Luckily, with the help of the private investigator and some people she pissed off along the way, we were able to do so. I still make lawyer jokes, but honestly, they are worth every penny and then some. I would never make fun of a PI, though, at least the really good ones. He dug up stuff that I have never known about. During the divorce, I didn't seek compensation from her, running up my credit card. I made good money. At the time, it was about $150K before tax a year. Now $250K before tax a year. So I just paid them off and chalked it up to my mistake. I didn't cancel them, so I was legally liable for the charges. And going after her for the money would have been worthless. I would have never seen it. I basically wanted out of it, which is why I let her take her stuff and most of the stuff we got as wedding gift and the stuff I bought her. I wanted her out of my life. I wanted reminders of our marriage, out of my house, etc. The only thing I didn't want to do was pay her $2,000 a month for around 5 years, which is the average my attorney said happens or have anything to do with her unborn child. I felt that would have been an insult to me. I would have been rewarding and indulging her behavior. And basically, I would be funding it some more for the term that I had to pay it. As for the rest of it, I was willing to eat the cost in exchange for it to be final and her out of my life. I fell for what I believed was a game she was playing as well. That was one of the costs I ate to ensure that I would get done in the time frame required. At the time of that divorce, it took 6 months and 1 day in California to complete the process entirely. It's now is something like 6 weeks if there's no contest, supposedly. My divorce was emotionally hard, and I don't look for sympathy. When I talk about it, I hope that maybe someone else will learn from it or maybe see signs that I didn't see. I can think back now sometimes and think, maybe that was a sign and I was too blind to see it. I do still analyze and continue to analyze it. I know a lot of people who unfortunately seem to not only like to create the battle, but enjoy it when it gets worse. I just wanted out and didn't have time to really do that kind of thing. At the point I caught her, it went from me working hard for us back to working hard for myself, which I think in the long run helps things. I had more time to myself. It would probably have been more tempting. The attorney all told. Cost about 12 grand or 6 months of alimony. The attorney told me I would have probably have to pay her for about 5 years monthly. So I saved quite a bit on that for sure. It's possible it could have gone longer than that had the judge ruled for it. Basically his call. She didn't get the $2,000 a month once the judge saw all this at the final hearing to finalize the divorce. After the divorce was final. I haven't seen her again, but I know she's in Arizona because she tried to get credit in my name there 3 times. I don't know if she decided to keep the pregnancy, but I am highly positive that it wasn't mine, and she was most likely trying to get me to raise another man's baby. I got played, and I will admit it. I don't deny my role in it, for sure. I think every day she has to live makes it harder on her, although she doesn't know me anymore, obviously. She knows that she had it well, but she played her game and lost. I kept right on going, slowly growing the business I partially owned and my income as well. I think her knowing that, or possibly finding out someday, or maybe through the grapevine, she could very well still communicate with some of our common friends. But I don't ask them if she does. Yeah, she hurt me. Yeah, she tried to insult me by wanting money as a reward. She didn't get it, and I'm still carrying on. I think that's more punishment than death. To me, death is too easy off and out for someone like her. A lot of people think I should have reacted differently when I caught them in my bed and not walk away from my house. I can understand what you're saying. I was there. Trust me. I thought about it then. I realized later on, after going over it in my mind, that it was best that I turn around and walk out. Instead of starting a fight or worse, I could have easily got physical. I would be the first one to admit I got scammed. The more I look back on it, the more I think she never loved me. I was just a mail ticket to her. I will admit my role in it. I gave her the perfect setup. Never come home during the week. I had another day ahead of me, so I was exhausted and ready to go to bed when I got home. All she needed to do was make sure she arrived home before me and was asleep when I did. And me being the kind of person who doesn't mind informing her of developments. She was always aware of my whereabouts. I was tricked, and I played along with it. All I can say is that I'm relieved that my 2-day-old STD test revealed no problems.